which as chiropractors, we have to think about that too, is like, we're in a new era, I believe. I think 2020 has helped us radically shift where more and more people are really looking for us. They don't know it's called chiropractic necessarily, but they're looking and they're using our words even, like nervous system regulation, right? And so recognizing that some of our old story about like there's not enough of us, or people aren't ready, or da-da-da-da, or we're always fighting to get out of a corner, like we got to stop telling that story. Right? We got to tell a new story where we go on the offense and we send more people to chiropractic school and we go deeper into our communities and we start telling the story of what is it like when the population understands what we understand, right? That's part of breaking these cultural habits. The tone that has existed, we got to turn the page into what can be. We've got to keep our roots in this amazing profession that has given us this amazing philosophy that most of us, it's transformed our lives, has it not? Like in every possible way. And then yet knowing that like there's only 100,000 of us worldwide right now, right? So we've got a lot of work to do, but it could be done. It can be done. Some of you probably recognize this. This is David Hawkins' work, Power versus Force. Anyone read that book? Highly suggest reading this book. Yeah, favorite book that there is. And he talks about how, again, the state that you hold is how much power is moving through you. So somebody who is in love or joy or peace has just so much more energy moving through your system versus, we've all felt that when you're in a state of contraction, like grief or apathy or shame or fear, which again, we think about the news cycle, there's a reason why they keep us in fear. There's a lot less energy moving through our system, and you cannot perceive truth when you're below the line of courage, right? So as we're setting people's nervous systems, into a different state, right? And we're rising, like we literally can perceive truth. That's major, right? This is a major power shift. But what I think about too is when we know this, and those of us in rooms like this get to this place where we can hold a state of love or possibility or joy, and then we go take our vision, this is where serendipity and crazy experiences that are like, how is that happening? How is this possible? Start to become the norm, right? And for me, this is what the school district project has felt like. We're not smart enough to know how to open all these doors that have just kept opening, right? People showing up, right? Conversations, like everyone's always like, but there's so much red tape. It's like, I know, but this next thing just keeps happening because I believe it's a time for this. And I wasn't the one that had that idea, but I sat in rooms like this and let that idea change me. So I don't have to be smart enough to necessarily know how we're going to get to all the next steps, but I have to be open to possibility and then bring right people in with me, right? So I'm using right and left brain for this. So when you apply this to your own vision, I want you to think about that. Like, where are we using our words to speak possibility versus limitation? Where can we be better at, professing what we want versus gossip or criticism, right? Where can we be thinking about more potential versus the opposite? Paying attention to these things is some of the biggest work you can do to move your life in the direction of what you want to create in your practice. And then teach your team. So those of you that have teams in here, like this is amazing because you all get kind of vibrating together on these concepts. Okay, so the tone of our chiropractic. What is the tone of chiropractic like? The tone in this room is different than some other rooms, right? But how do you take yourself and bring yourself back to your community from what you pick up here and then start walking that out and find your people when you go back to all the different places that you guys all were cheering for, and do work from what you picked up in this room to actually walk that out in your backyard, right? Last thing, you think about this, tuning forks, right? When one tuning fork is struck and the same frequency is next to it, it starts to vibrate, right? So this is like us when we go back to our communities, is the right people find us, right? That's like when Amanda came up to Shadow and said, I actually don't think I'm supposed to move back to Ohio. I think I'm supposed to come here. And it was right when I had almost hired a different person to help. And I didn't hire him because he wasn't the right fit. And then all of a sudden she manifests. She came up. And she's been the person that walked it out with us, right? That's resonance, right? It's like attracts like. And so again, yes, we need to use logic in a lot of the ways that we walk things out, but there is other elements at play of the right. How many of you have hired someone in your staff where you're like, they found you and they're the perfect person that you were looking for? Isn't that lovely when that happens? The work ahead of that was to know what you were looking for so you could attract it, right? Which is a great way to do business. So you're an antenna. What are you attracting? What are you attracting through your body? What are you attracting through your mind? What are you attracting through your emotions? Your tone is your most powerful instrument. And this is what chiropractic is to me. And when we start to recognize the patterns, just like we've been taught through our analysis to recognize patterns to show us where to place our hands and where to place the force, right? We can recognize patterns in our business, in our practice, patterns in our life, patterns in our money language, patterns in our family, and start to make changes, right? We can start to shift. Adjustments don't just have to be adjustments on the table, right? And that changes, shifts the tone, right? So subluxation, such a beautiful word that it's all based around light, right? Life expressed through our nervous system, light expressed through our nervous system. And an area that's less light is where we come in and we're opening that back up so more energy can be expressed, right? So we're looking for a shift in that tone so that more energy can move through again, right? Form follows the tone. So back to the original concept, ADIO, life flows above, down, inside out. We live in an ADIO world. This is just universal law on some level. We just weren't taught that. Most of us weren't taught that there even is universal laws that you can study. And chiropractic is in adherence with universal law.